So you're considering sailing on Voyager of the Seas. Is it too old, too broken, too dirty, too small? Well, we're going to cover all that information for you right now in this video. So let's talk about what you're actually going to get on a ship of this size like Voyager of the Seas. So it's not going to be your mega awesome ships like Icon with all these big neighborhoods. It's actually smaller than the Oasis class and the Freedom class. But I do feel like this is a fairly decent sized ship.
So Voyager does have lots of outdoor space and things included for families. We enjoy the pool deck, and the one thing you're going to notice that's not on this ship is that big splash pad. They do, however, have 2 pools, 4 hot tubs, all on the pool deck for everybody to use. They still have the flow rider. They've got 2 water slides. They've got the putt-putt course. Now for those adult-only items, they've got the solarium pool there with 2 hot tubs.
They also have sports courts for things like basketball, soccer, and pickleball. They have a rock climbing wall and ice skating in Studio B. So I feel like they've really done a good job of packing in as many things as they possibly can on this size of a ship, which is really neat. I think if you go much smaller than this is when you start to lose some of those amenities. And even though they don't have Splashaway Bay or Adventure Beach for the little kiddos to go play at, there is a lot of options for things to do. And I think for that reason, this ship is probably that like perfect middle of the road ship for like, I don't need all the bells and whistles, but I still want some things for our family to be able to do. So if you're cruising with kiddos, I'm gonna say that this is a good sized ship. I wouldn't go much smaller than this unless it just has the perfect itinerary. On board, they have 2 production shows that are done by the Royal Caribbean cast. They have Broadway Rhythm and Rhyme and Music and Pictures, which is music from movies. And like always, they have a comedian on board, and then the other act they brought in was a juggler style comedian as well, who was hilarious, very funny, kid friendly, and actually a good juggler. He did a really good job.
Right, he did. We enjoyed watching him.
As far as the production shows, I gotta say, we've seen Broadway Rhythm and Rhyme numerous times on different ships. It was okay. It was
not our favorite.
Not our favorite cast. Music and Pictures was actually fairly subpar. We tried to give it a chance, but we ended up walking out. This is one of the few shows aboard a Royal Caribbean ship that we've actually walked out of.
Now, one of the interesting things that we've seen within the theater is every single show has popcorn.
Yeah, but it's not free. It's $3.50 for a very tiny, small bag of popcorn. So just know, we've heard a lot of complaints on board from people that they're being charged for popcorn. They thought it should be free. It's not free, but I gotta be honest with you, it's very cheap compared to going to a movie theater and getting popcorn. And no one's twisting your arm to buy it.
No.
If you don't want it, just don't get it. So like I said, we ended up walking out of Music and Pictures, and we decided we were gonna go to the casino instead. In the casino, there are a lot of machines for this size ship and a decent amount of tables. I wouldn't say it's a lot of tables. However, we have had 0 problems finding a machine to go play at. There's always open machines, and this is a longer 9-night sailing that we're on. And even then, it doesn't matter which night it was. Even formal night, which I feel is the most popular night in the casino, we had no problems finding machines to play at. However, the machines have been super stingy, very tight. We haven't done well at all. And honestly, looking around, we really haven't seen people winning, which is normally you notice somebody winning something around you, and there just hasn't been much at all. So I feel like the machines are pretty tight right now. Maybe Royal's trying to save some of that money for the dry dock renovations.
Right, and also notice if you are gonna go to that casino, there is smoking and non-smoking mixed together. It's not split up like they are in some casinos. You can be all over, have somebody next to you smoking, move to another section, and not have somebody smoking. So just keep that in mind. It is a smoking casino, and there are no regulations to where you can or cannot smoke within that area.
Yeah, I think that's just because of the size of the ship. It's a fairly smaller ship, so they just didn't have the room to split it up like they do on the bigger ships. But if that's a problem for you, then just know there is smoke in the casino. It does smell like smoke. While we don't smoke and we don't really like the smell, we're able to tolerate it. We just find machines that aren't near where people are smoking. So what about the food on board Voyager of the Seas? Well, as you may or may not know, Royal Caribbean has the same menu aboard every single ship, and it just matters how many days you're on board as to which of the menus you get to experience. So we've had a lot of these foods before and eaten all these menus before. So it's just a matter of how the head chef and his staff prepares the food on board your ship. So what did you think about the food on board Voyager of the Seas?
It's very basic, not super standout-ish. The only item that stood out every time we ate it. Now this didn't matter if we were in the Windjammer or if we were in the main dining room. Anytime we got an Indian dish, fantastic. The flavors, the spice, the heat, nailed it every time.
Yeah, now Caribbean night in the main dining room was the standout night for me. It was fantastic. It was literally the best pork chop I've ever had. It was so flavorful. The jerk had a nice spice and seasoning to it where it was a little bit of heat and a little bit of flavor there. And it was just so smooth, easy to cut. It was delicious. And even the other people at the table with us that got it said the same thing. It was a standout night by far. Otherwise, the food on board has been pretty average. I'm not gonna lie, we have not been very impressed. Now, the one random thing that they have tried to like up their game on is cheese selection in the Windjammer.
Yes.
There has been a lot of cheese options, whether at the salad bar or at the cheese bar where the fruits are, for cheeses. Like 3 different types of blue cheese and some gorgonzola and some manchego and all sorts of different cheeses to be able to choose from, which was really interesting and nice because we enjoy doing like a cheese plate sometimes. So being able to go and pick all these different cheeses at the Windjammer was pretty neat. But otherwise, the food's just kind of meh.
And if you're looking for ice cream, they do have the ice cream on the pool deck, and it has changed as we've gone to the different countries, which I thought was interesting. So as we were in Greece, it was very creamy and smooth. We were in Italy yesterday, and it was more on the icy side. And so I'm curious to see what happens when we get to Spain.
That's an interesting observation. I hadn't really noticed. Nice. Now, this ship does say that there's a sugar beach on board where you can go get ice cream and milkshakes and all those things. Even in the app, it shows it, and on the map, it shows it. However, that no longer exists on board. It's actually been combined into the Cafe Promenade, where you can go get your pizzas and stuff like that at the coffee bar, where you order coffee like Starbucks or whatever. They have the ice cream there. There are no more milkshakes, but you can get ice cream. They have about 6 flavors and they have some toppings. Now, even on night 2, I ordered one of the sundaes that they have on the menu. There's like 4 sundaes on the menu total, and they didn't have the stuff to make it on night 2. So Sugar Beach is a gigantic letdown on this ship. But if you're just looking for a place to go get flavored ice cream that isn't the soft serve from the pool deck, there are some options: vanilla, chocolate, strawberry, cookies and cream, maybe a pistachio there for you at Sugar Beach at Cafe Promenade. One last major point on food is that even though this is a 9-night sailing with 3 formal nights, there was no lobster on board. If you wanted lobster, you had to pay for it. And this is unique. This is the first time this has ever happened. So a couple years ago, Royal changed their policy where lobster was only served on 7-night or longer sailings on formal nights. However, this has been 3 formal nights and no lobster, and it's not on the menu for the last formal night tonight either.
But tonight we expected to have lobster because the menu is the Royal Night, and everybody's gonna be dressed to the nines, and they're showcasing shrimp.
Yeah, so that's kind of weird, and I know that that's kind of a hot topic for a lot of people. We see it on the social media platforms that, oh, we didn't have lobster, this and that, or you can only order 1 lobster tail now. Well, worse than that, now there was no lobster. So I don't know if this is a trend across the ships or they're just testing this out right now, but know that that was a thing on Voyager of the Seas currently, where when we went on Icon not that long ago, they literally served lobster in the Windjammer buffet as much as you wanted. So I'm kind of taken aback at the drastic difference between unlimited lobster on the buffet and no lobster on a 9-night cruise on any formal night.
Unless you pay for it.
Unless you pay for it. For this sailing, we had booked an ocean view guaranteed room, and we ended up chancing it and trying to do Royal Up to see what we could get. We threw in a bunch of bids, basically the shotgun approach, just to see if we could get anything. We ended up getting selected for a spacious ocean view balcony room. One of the main things you'll notice is this couch is pretty big. It's a 3-person couch instead of a 2-person couch, and that's really the main difference with the spacious ocean view balcony versus a regular ocean view balcony, is this extra little bit of room where the couch is. There is nothing different with the actual balcony. Speaking of the balcony, that's something I really want to talk about. This older style ship, and this class specifically, has the least picturesque balconies of them all.
And now you're gonna notice in the video that even though we are a 0% obstructed view, each balcony is like cupped because we have little cubbies. They're tucked away into the side of the ship, which that part is nice. And the fact that because everything's tucked inside, you don't have an obstructed view when you look out, no lifeboats, nothing in your way, but you are going to see the side of the ship. The other thing you're going to notice is you can't see through the balcony. So on the newer ships, the updated ships, they've got that beautiful glass and you can look straight out. Here, you do look out and you see metal.
I gotta be honest with you, it feels like I'm sitting in a metal cave. That's what it feels like. It's a metal cave, so the railing is a metal wall, and then there's a oval cutout for you to look out through. And even though it says it's 0% obstructed, I don't know that I can get on board with that. It feels like it's an obstructed view. Even part of our balcony, I'd say about 15% of it is part of that oval cutout that I have to look at when I open the door. So it's not a 0% obstruction. And we have clients on board who are sailing in a junior suite that is also listed as a 0% obstructed balcony. And it has a huge pole down the center with pipes coming down and drainage. It is obviously not 0%. So if the balcony is like a big deal to you, this is not the ship for you. These are not pretty balconies. If you like to spend a lot of time out there, you're going to feel like you're in a cave. They're not picturesque. You can't see through the bottom of them. They almost feel smaller to me. The size may not be that much smaller, but they do feel tighter.
Right. They 100% are tighter. You're still going to have your 2 chairs and your table out there, but as for walking around in the balcony, if somebody's in one of those chairs, you're not getting by.
Some random things that we've noticed are things are just generally missing from staterooms. There's typically a coffee table in these spacious ocean view rooms for you to be able to set stuff on. That's gone. Our clients in a junior suite, they have a couch and 2 sitting chairs and no table there either. They also didn't have any glasses or robes in their room. Their coffee machine was broken. It's been a thing where we've had to handle issues for clients on board. This is our first sailing as Diamond Plus members, and so we got the extra perks of, 5 drinks instead of 4 drinks. We also got 2 days of Wi-Fi each instead of 1 day, which has been awesome. And I gotta tell you, coming off the Celebrity ship, being able to use these drink vouchers as opposed to going to random bars for a limited menu for a cocktail hour on Celebrity, it's just so refreshing. Please, Royal Caribbean Group, I know you own Celebrity. Make the right decision here. Give them the drink vouchers. So to wrap up this review of Voyager of the Seas, let's go through and do a quick 0 to 10 scale on the ship, the staff, the food, the activities, the productions. Let's do it all. Let's wrap it up. So what did you think about the food of Voyager of the Seas? Give me a scale of 1 to 10.
I would give it a 6.
Okay.
Because nothing stood out aside from Indian food. And while I do love Indian food, I'm not going to have that every night. I did not order dessert every night. And sometimes I would look at the menu and say, I don't know what I'm going to get.
I feel like that's fair. I would go somewhere between a 5 and a 6 only because while most of it was average, there were a few spotlight moments for me where things really stood out and were extra good. So I would give it that 5.5 to a 6 for sure. So let's talk about staff on board. What was your experience, and then give me a number 0 to 10.
I would give the staff a 10.
Okay.
They were fantastic. Every interaction was wonderful and helpful and smiling. It totally felt like we were home, being back on Royal Caribbean ship with all of their personnel.
I'm gonna have to agree. The staff has been fantastic on board. I don't know if they know that their ship's in a state of disrepair and so they're trying to make up for it, but they've been fantastic. I've really enjoyed them. They're gonna get a 10 out of 10 from me. Thank you very much to all the staff on board Voyager of the Seas for making our cruise as good as you could possibly make it. Okay, so as far as activities go, sports courts, ice rinks, things like that, things to do around the ship, what do you give the ship?
I would give it a 9 because everything that we went to, we had a fantastic time. We did the Loving Marriage game show, we've done ice skating, people in our party did the origami things and the coloring and trivia, and I know you've done pickleball. So the only reason I would give it a 9 is because the pickleball times were probably too short because there were way too many people, but everything else was fantastic.
I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 10. Where we've struggled on other lines to find things to do, this ship has had things going on at all times of the day into the night. It's been really good. There's been a ton of activities, a ton of things to go see and go do. We've had no problem at all staying entertained, keeping our daughter entertained. They've had a family fun festival. They had a family science day. I mean, it has been awesome. So shout out to the activities manager and the cruise director on board right now. They are crushing it. What about the shows on board?
Probably an 8, because the headliners were really good. We only missed one headliner show because the staff did not board the ship. But the ones that we've seen were good. The dancers have been phenomenal. The singers, kind of a hit or miss. So that's why I would give it an 8.
For Royal Caribbean Productions, I'm gonna give them like a 3. The productions, just the singers were not up to the standards that Royal Caribbean normally has on board. It just wasn't good. As far as the headliners, the people that came on board for the ship, I thought they were great. So I'm gonna give the headliners an 8, the Royal Caribbean production a 3. If I have to average these out, I guess they'll get a 5. But yeah, that's kind of where I land on the productions and the shows.
Okay.
So we're at the very tail end of October 2024, and I gotta be honest with you, is it too old, too broken? I think so. The ship is in a pretty bad state of disrepair currently. What do you think?
There's lots of things that could be fixed. I'll definitely give it that. If you're not looking for bells and whistles and everything to be in perfect shape, you'll be all right. But we've definitely noticed some really weird things on this ship that we've never seen on others, and we've sailed on the smallest ships going into dry dock as well that weren't as bad off.
I have to be honest, I feel like this ship is in pretty rough shape. Considering it just went into dry dock in 2019, 5 years ago, it does not look like a ship that was refurbished 5 years ago. I'm sorry. This ship is very bad off. Especially when we were just on Granger, the oldest ship in the fleet that was going to dry dock, even Granger wasn't in as bad a shape of disrepair as this. In our cabin alone, there are stickers that look like this wallpaper and white stickers on the ceiling that cover up holes. Literal holes in the walls and ceilings that I'll show you now. Even in the main dining room, the curtain is completely tattered and torn. It's got stains. I hope they're chocolate stains. Top to bottom, it is nasty. It is in very bad shape. The outside of the ship, we also noticed walking back from port yesterday, was in pretty bad shape itself. The painting just doesn't look fresh. It doesn't look nice. You can see a lot of rust, and it's in bad shape. And I really hope that the outside's that way because we are the last sailing before it goes into dry dock. So when we end our journey in Malaga, Spain, it is going to go to dry dock for 17 days. Now there is an extensive list of things they're going to be doing in dry dock, and so I genuinely hope that a lot of our concerns are going to be solved in this dry dock process. However, I don't know that this ship is going to feel like a nice newer ship when it's done. It is in extremely bad shape, and it was just touched up 5 years ago. Now, one of the cool things is that on deck 12 during the last dry dock, they actually renovated the forward part of that deck, and the staterooms there look completely different than the staterooms anywhere else. So to show you what that looks like, I'm gonna try to put a video in this video right now for you guys so you can see how it looks completely different. The wood looks different, the walls look different. It looks like a much more modern and updated stateroom, like something you might see in the Quantum class instead of here on the smaller class. Surprisingly though, for an older ship, the Wi-Fi has been really good.
They have nailed it. Every single place on this ship has had beautiful Wi-Fi. Every device we've done, laptops, tablets, cell phones, multiple devices all at one time on the balcony around the ship in our room, and we have not lost any coverage.
Even on the balcony, I was sitting in a hammock watching my tablet and still had perfect Wi-Fi coverage, which is amazing. Most ships, even newer ships, struggle to get Wi-Fi on the balcony. So if I'm gonna give Voyager a 10 out of 10 on anything at all, it's going to be the Wi-Fi coverage. They've crushed it. And whoever the information technology officer is on board this ship needs to get along with the other ships and figure out how to get the Wi-Fi better on other ships.
And I wanna note, a lot of people will say, hey, maybe you were at port during that day. Maybe it was a beautiful sunny day. It was very overcast and on and off cloudy on a sea day, and you had perfect coverage.
Absolutely. So they are crushing it. So Voyager of the Seas, let's wrap this thing up. Scale 0 to 10, and would you sail it again? What's your experience?
I would give it a 7. Okay. And I want to start out with the good. We chose this for the ports, knowing the ship is going into dry dock. With the dry dock, things are going to be refreshed. So yes, I would sail this ship again, knowing that changes are happening. But the staff has been absolutely fantastic. The activities have been fantastic.
As far as itinerary and things to do on the ship gets an 8 from me. In its current state of repair, the ship is going to get a 5. It's in bad shape overall. I'm really hoping the dry dock fixes that and we can bump this number back up to an 8 or a 9. I really feel like this is a good size ship and offers a lot for what it has, but some things that do knock it down maybe to a 7 for me are going to be the ugly balconies, and you know, just you can't undo that, and the state of disrepair the ship is in that I really hope they get taken care of in dry dock. We really hope this video has been helpful for you on deciding whether or not you want to take Voyager to the seas for your next cruise vacation. And if it has, or maybe if you still have questions, you can always scan this QR code right here to have Amy help you pick the perfect itinerary on the perfect ship for you. And if you're still not sold or not sure and want to see more of our great cruising content, maybe on itineraries, ports of calls, or other ships, watch another one of our videos right here, and we'll see you guys on the next one.